Deep within a hidden cave system, explorers have stumbled upon something ancient and terrifying. Dozens of perfectly preserved monks frozen in time, with no explanation as to how they got there or why they remain untouched. What secrets did they hold? Let's uncover the mysterious truth behind this forgotten cave discovery.
Number 10. The Shaolin Monks. You've seen them in movies performing feats that defy gravity, breaking bricks with bare hands, and enduring pain that would paralyze an ordinary person. But what if I told you their real abilities are even more incredible than what Hollywood shows? Deep in Mount Song, China, the Shaolin Temple has stood for over 1,500 years. It's more than just a monastery. It's a legendary place of enlightenment and power, where monks don't just meditate, but train their bodies to achieve the impossible. The Shaolin Temple isn't a common place of worship. From the moment you enter, you encounter architectural masterpieces: the Heavenly King Hall, the Dharma Hall, and the Mahavira Hall, each imbued with history and spiritual energy. But behind the serene prayer walls hides something completely different, a training ground where monks push the human body beyond its limits. Shaolin monks undergo grueling training that combines martial arts, meditation, and breath control. Some monks can smash bricks on their heads without injury, maintain balance on sharp spears without breaking their skin, endure extreme heat and cold without flinching, and leap meters into the air using only leg strength. How is this possible? The monks believe that by mastering the mind, they can master the body. Through Qigong, an ancient Chinese practice, they learn to control their inner energy, allowing them to perform feats that seem superhuman. Science backs this up. Studies show that advanced Qigong practitioners can regulate their body temperature, reduce their heart rate, and ignore extreme pain.
Number 9. The Silent Keepers of Mount Athos. For over 1,000 years, an entire peninsula in Greece has been home to monks who've taken vows of absolute silence. Not just quiet meditation, complete verbal silence that can last for decades. These are the silent guardians of Mount Athos, and their commitment to wordlessness will blow your mind. Mount Athos, known as the Holy Mountain, houses 20 Eastern Orthodox monasteries where some monks haven't spoken a word in 20, 30, or even 40 years. They communicate through hand gestures, written notes, and pure telepathic understanding that develops after years of shared silence. Imagine living your entire adult life without saying hello, thank you, or I love you out loud. These monks believe words are distractions that prevent deep spiritual connection. By eliminating speech, they claim to hear God's voice more clearly and understand universal truths that remain hidden from the talking world. The commitment is absolute. Silent monks can't even whisper during emergencies. If the monastery catches fire, they use bells, hand signals, and written messages to coordinate responses. When they get sick, they write symptoms on paper instead of describing pain verbally. New monks entering silence under gradual preparation. They first limit speaking to 1 hour daily, then 1 hour weekly, then monthly conversations until finally embracing complete silence. The transition often causes psychological stress. Humans are hardwired for verbal communication, and losing this ability feels like losing part of their identity. What develops in place of speech is extraordinary. Silent monks become incredibly observant, reading facial expressions, body language, and energy with supernatural accuracy. They develop photographic memories since they can't take verbal notes or ask questions for clarification. Their written communication becomes poetry, every word carefully chosen since writing is their only voice. The monasteries have preserved ancient manuscripts, these have been notations and religious texts that would have been lost without these dedicated silent guardians. Monks spent decades hand-copying biblical texts, creating illuminated manuscripts that are works of art as much as religious documents.
I have a question for you. First, I would like to say that it is possible to follow the greatest curiosities of our world every day. But to do so, you need to be subscribed to our channel. So, are you already subscribed? If not, take the opportunity to subscribe now. Also, take the opportunity to like the video so YouTube will recommend more videos from our channel. So leave your like right now. And now that you have done that, let's go!
Number 8. The Forgotten Monks of Bikuni. For centuries, Buddhist monks have been revered as seekers of enlightenment. But what if I told you that half of Buddhist monastic tradition was practically extinct? Let me introduce you to the Bikunis, Buddhist nuns who have fought for their place in history and are still fighting today. When we think of Buddhist monks, we usually imagine men with shaved heads and saffron robes. But the truth is that from the beginning, women played a vital role in Buddhism. The first Bikuni was Mahapajapati Gautamati, aunt and adoptive mother of Gautama Buddha himself. She advocated for women's right to join the monastic order, and after much hesitation, Buddha agreed, establishing the Bikuni order more than 2,500 years ago. These nuns followed practically the same rules as their male counterparts. They practiced meditation, spread wisdom, and sought enlightenment. But there was a problem. While the Bhikkhu order of male monks flourished, the Bikuni order faced resistance. Over time, in many countries, they were quietly erased. Unlike male monks, Bikunis were subject to stricter rules. While Bhikkhus followed only 227 monastic precepts, Bikunis had to obey 311. Worse still, the Buddhist system in many places refused to recognize them as equals. Over time, the Bikuni order disappeared from various Buddhist traditions, and many believed it had vanished forever. But the story hadn't ended with them. In recent years, Bikunis have begun reclaiming their lost place in Buddhism.
Number 7. Sadus of Mount Kaesh. Deep in the Himalayas, hidden from civilization, stands Mount Kaesh, one of the world's most sacred and mysterious mountains. At 6,638 meters above sea level, this colossal peak is unique not only for its breathtaking beauty, but also as a spiritual epicenter for Hindus, Buddhists, Jainis, and followers of the Bon religion. For Hindus, Kailash is the abode of Lord Shiva, the god of destruction and rebirth. For Tibetan Buddhists, it's associated with Buddha Demchug, the embodiment of supreme bliss.
Unlike other imposing Himalayan peaks, no human has managed to ascend it to its summit.
Coincidence?
Or is there something more to this sacred place?
Perhaps the answer lies with the sadhus, holy men who have chosen to live in complete isolation under Kailash's snowy peaks. These ascetics dedicate their lives to meditation, surviving sub-zero temperatures with little or no food. It seems impossible, but these sadhus practice advanced yogic techniques that allow them to generate heat from within, something modern science is only beginning to understand. Some of these monks are said to sit in deep meditation for days, weeks, or even months without being affected by the cold. Others are said to subsist exclusively on arid water. Their bodies apparently adapted to survive in an environment that would be fatal to ordinary humans. And then there were the stories. Tales of mystical encounters with ancient sages who have lived in Mount Kailash's caves for decades, even centuries.
Number 6. Ancient High Priest's Tomb. In the depths of Egypt's sands, in the ancient necropolis of Saqqara, archaeologists have unearthed an impressive 4,400-year-old tomb belonging to a royal high priest and his family. The most incredible part, it had remained intact for millennia. This isn't just any tomb, it dates from the reign of Nefertari Khafkai, the third king of Egypt's 5th dynasty, a ruler who lived almost 2,500 years before Christ's birth. That's so far back in time that when this high priest walked the earth, the pyramids of Giza were still a relatively new addition to the Egyptian landscape. And here's where it gets interesting. Inside the tomb, archaeologists found something extraordinary. The burial chamber, nearly 2.7 meters high and 10.7 meters wide, is decorated with vivid hieroglyphs, intricate pharaoh statues, and sculptures of the priest and his family, almost like a time capsule frozen in history. But the real mystery lies beneath the surface. Experts believe that within the 5 shafts buried deep in the tomb, his coffin, sarcophagus, and possibly more hidden artifacts await discovery. And if history has taught us anything, it's that discoveries like this always generate more questions than answers. How did this tomb remain intact for so long? Who was this high priest, and why was his burial so significant?
Number 5. The Mummy of Sangotenzen. Hidden in the mystical depths of the remote Spiti Valley in Himachal Pradesh, India, lies a discovery that has left both scientists and spiritual scholars completely baffled. This finding not only challenges our understanding of logic and science, but also questions everything we believe about the limits of time and human preservation. At the heart of this mystery stands a 500-year-old Buddhist monk whose body has remained in a state of conservation that borders on miraculous. The truly fascinating aspect of this discovery is the perfection with which every detail has been maintained, from the texture of his skin to each strand of his hair, from the serenity of his expression to the precision of his meditative posture. Everything remains extraordinarily intact, as if time had stopped at the moment of his final meditation. The most astonishing part is that this exceptional preservation was achieved without any artificial process, modern chemicals, or ancient embalming techniques. Only the perfect confluence of nature, unwavering faith, and something that seems to transcend our earthly understanding. The story becomes even more extraordinary when we delve deeper into the details. This isn't a simple case of natural mummification. It involves Sangotenzen, a monk who, according to legends passed down to generations, made the conscious decision to mummify himself, following a process as unique as it is mysterious.
Number 4. Zen Monks. Imagine waking up before dawn, sitting in absolute silence, and training your mind to go beyond thoughts. Sounds intense, right? Well, that's exactly what Zen monks do daily. But here's the most interesting part. It's not just about meditation. It's about transforming every moment of life into a practice of enlightenment. Zen Buddhism has existed for centuries and has shaped the lives of monks dedicated to a simple but profound way of life. These monks don't just contemplate life's meaning, they actively live it. From the moment they wake up, their entire day revolves around mindfulness, and it all begins with zazen, or seated meditation. Picture a vast, tranquil monastery where the only sound is the gentle whisper of leaves outside, while a group of monks sits in perfect stillness, with half-closed eyes, inhaling and exhaling at a slow rhythm. It's not just about relaxation, it's a way to free themselves from mental chaos. They believe that by sitting in silence and observing thoughts without judgment, they can discover the true nature of existence. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Zen monks don't just meditate all day, they work. And I don't mean ordinary tasks. Samuel, or mindful work, is an essential part of their practice. Whether sweeping floors, cooking, or tending monastery gardens, every movement is performed with complete awareness. Imagine considering every time you wash dishes a sacred act, completely focused, without distractions, without random thoughts about your to-do list.
Number 3. Reincarnated Buddhist Master. Imagine waking up one day to discover that your 4-year-old son is the reincarnation of a revered Buddhist master. Sound like a mystical legend, right? But this is exactly what happened in a remote village in India's Spiti Valley. Meet Nawang Tashiruptan, a seemingly ordinary child until he was recognized as the reincarnation of Tikalumsa Tril Rinpoche, a respected spiritual leader of the Tibetan Buddhist school. And believe me, this wasn't a random guess. The process of identifying reincarnations in Tibet Buddhism is incredibly meticulous, involving extensive consultations with high-ranking spiritual figures, including none other than the Dalai Lama himself. The monks of Dorzang Monastery worked hard to confirm this little one's true identity, conducting rigorous tests evaluating his behavior, memories, and even his reaction to certain sacred objects. The results were incredible. Young Nawang demonstrated wisdom that surpassed his age, recognizing places and people he had never seen in this life. Even his parents, especially his mother, Kelsing Dolma, were initially stunned. She couldn't believe it at first. How could her little one, born in a humble home, be reincarnated master? But over time, she accepted it as a great honor, understanding that her son was destined for something much greater than an ordinary life. But here's where it gets emotional. While it was a moment of immense pride for the family, it also meant saying goodbye, along with they'll leave his home, to be raised in a monastery, chained in the ways of the enlightened and prepared to assume the responsibilities of his past life.
Number 2. Tibetan Monks. Tibetan monks have dedicated their lives for centuries to discovering existence's deepest secrets. Originating in the 6th century CE, Tibetan Buddhism is unique in the world. It's a fusion of ancient Indian Buddhist teachings, complex tantric rituals, and indigenous shamanic practices from Tibet's Bon religion. This combination creates something absolutely unique, a spiritual system deeply intertwined with powerful mystical experiences, meditation teachings, and sacred rituals designed to uncover hidden realms of consciousness. But here's what really distinguishes Tibetan Buddhism: reincarnating lamas. Unlike most religious figures, many of Tibet's most venerated spiritual leaders, including the Dalai Lama himself, are believed to deliberately reincarnate, returning to continue their work life after life. When one of these great masters dies, senior monks embark on a journey to find the child who carries their spirit. This process isn't random. It involves deep meditation, divination, dreams, and even recognition of sacred objects belonging to the previous incarnation. And if that weren't enough, Tibetan Buddhism also features one of the most extensive pantheons of divine beings, some peaceful, others terrifying, each representing different forces of the universe. But whether we see them as literal entities or symbolic representations of deeper truths, the teachings they embody have shaped Tibetan culture for centuries. What's truly remarkable is how this knowledge almost disappeared. By the 14th century, Tibetan monks had translated an enormous collection of Buddhist texts from India and other regions, preserving ancient knowledge that might have been lost forever.
Number 1. The Amazonian Neurohackers. Deep in the Amazon, indigenous monks developed the world's first organic consciousness expansion technology. Ayahuasca isn't just a psychedelic drink, it's a sophisticated biochemical interface that allows direct access to normally inaccessible brain networks. These shamanic practitioners created what modern neuroscience would call targeted neuroplasticity enhancement. The ceremonial use of plant medicines represents ancient biotechnology that could revolutionize our understanding of human consciousness. Participants report consistent experiences, expanded awareness, enhanced pattern recognition, and access to information processing capabilities that seem impossible under normal brain function. What's fascinating is the precision of these plant combinations. Master shamans identified specific molecular compounds that interact with neurotransmitter systems in ways that Western pharmacology is only beginning to map. The Amazon monks essentially reverse engineer human consciousness, discovering chemical keys to unlock cognitive states that remain largely mysterious to modern science. Their knowledge of botanical neurochemistry exceeds anything produced by contemporary pharmaceutical research. Each ceremony functions like a controlled experiment in consciousness modification, producing repeatable results across diverse participants. The applications extend beyond spiritual experience into practical applications for treating psychological disorders, enhancing creativity, and expanding human cognitive potential. These monks develop practical methods for debugging human consciousness and installing upgrades to perception and awareness.
Now I have a special recommendation for you. Are you seeing this video that is appearing on the screen? Click on it because I'm sure you'll like it. Well, that's it, and until next time, curious one.